Welcome to Surviving to Thriving with Clare Downham, where I share insights on the inside-out nature of life so you can stop the inner critic running the show and step into thriving in every aspect of your life. I hope you find this episode helpful. And today's question is, why can't I take action? And it's a question that I used to ask myself an awful lot, like on an almost, I'm going to say on a daily basis, but that's probably not quite true. It's probably was multiple times a day when I would ask myself, why am I not doing the thing that I really want to do? And it's interesting because today, I've procrastinated a little bit over coming here and doing this. So some of you will be watching this as a YouTube video, some of you watching it live, some of you might listen to it on my podcast. But initially, the way I create these videos is live. I do them live. And that to me is great because it means I don't have time to... There's no second take here, folks. It's it. I'm here and I'm doing it. And that's it. That's all there is. And that's really cool in many ways. I don't think everybody would find that to be cool, but I do. And I'm realizing right now why I couldn't get my intro to play is because I've set my account up on Restream a little bit differently to normal. Anyway, we'll sort that out another time. So why can't we take action? And I was on a networking event this morning and I sort of did my little intro and I said, in how many parts of our lives are we just not doing what we want to do, what we desire to do, what we believe would perhaps move the needle in our business, in our work, in our career, in our life, in our health, in our relationships? It doesn't really matter what it is where you feel stuck, but, let me know. Let me know if you can recognize this sense of feeling stuck, like you can't move forward. And oftentimes there's like this voice, isn't there, saying, come on, this is the thing to do. Why aren't you doing that? And I think we want to step away from being really hard with ourselves about this stuff, because we're all just navigating life in the best way that we know how, aren't we? But there's a few things I think that are helpful in terms of this exploration and in terms of understanding why we might not be taking action a little bit better than we might currently do. So we ask the question, why, don't we? Why don't I take action? Well, the reason always is because of a misunderstanding. And that may sound like, really, no, it's because I've not got enough motivation, or it's because I'm afraid. Well, it definitely probably is because of that. But really, it's a misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding is around the feeling, because the feeling is what has us move forward or stop. The feeling that we might call fear. But it's what we understand that feeling means that decides whether or not we are able to move forward or not. So when I say we want to do things, what I'm talking about here often is just this sense of sort of inspiration. I really want to do something. This feels good in my body. It feels aligned. It feels authentic to me. It might be doing something like I'm doing right now, and that's creating a live video. Turning up on video at all is often something that I find with business owners I help out. That's really tricky. And what happens very quickly after we think, I'm going to do this. I really want to do this. I really want to do a video, or I really want to do anything else in my life. Very quickly, the mind comes in and tells us all the reasons why we can't do that thing. Usually reasons to do with us. Always reasons to do with us. We're not quite good enough. We can't do that. Who do we think we are? Blah, blah, blah. And with that comes a feeling of fear. And what we do then, and the misunderstanding is that we attribute that feeling of fear to the thing we're about to do. We go, oh, that doing the live video, that's the fear, that's where the fear is coming from. So I won't do the live video because it's going to be horrible. I'm going to die. I mean, he's often like almost unconsciously and almost like from that reptilian bit of the brain, we're going, I'm going to die if I do this live video. So we don't do the video, do we? We do something else. And I'm going to talk hopefully a little bit later on about self-compassion at this point, because I think there are some things that can be helpful in terms of breaking this cycle, because I see a cycle: inspired thought or inspired idea, predictable in a critical blur coming in, makes the body feel horrible, then we don't do the thing, then we feel horrible about ourselves, and then we sort of spiral down. We just feel worse and worse, and then we're less likely. If you're feeling terrible about yourself, are you going to show up on a live video? Well, you're not, aren't you? So you've got a cycle there, and what we want to do is find a place to sort of break that cycle. So that's the first misunderstanding. The first misunderstanding is that the discomfort means don't do it, when actually this discomfort just means that you are moving now into a space of growth. And actually that's super exciting. But what we often then do is we distract ourselves, we do something else, we scroll, we wander off, we make kombucha, that's one of my favorite things, and we mistake that the procrastination is bringing us relief. We're going to try and feel better, and so we're doing something easy, something that we're not afraid of, something that's just like, oh, it's almost like, I don't like this feeling, I need to fix it, so I'll just go do something to distract. It's distraction, isn't it? So it's, chocolate, it's all the other things that we scrolling, reading emails, that's one of mine. Busy nothingness, somebody once said on one of my live sessions on Insight Time. I thought that was really good. So, and then we just, as I said before, we just then feel terrible, don't we? I've not done that thing again. And the third misunderstanding is that we believe that feeling comes from out there in the world, from the thing we're about to do. Like I said at the beginning, it doesn't come from there. So we've got three misunderstandings: that the feeling means we're doing something dangerous. It doesn't. It just means we're doing something that's expansive and is expanding us into our true selves more. That, that we believe the feeling is coming from out there, and that the procrastination is bringing some relief. So what are the circuit breakers for this? And I've written something about this that I'm kind of using to reference a bit here. But the circuit breakers really are, well, the first one is self-compassion. Like I said before, if we've got this cycle of inspired idea and awful thinking about the inspired idea and our ability to do it, that brings about some discomfort in the body, and then we procrastinate, or we don't do the thing, or we just get very distracted, and we then feel bad about ourselves, and then we feel bad about ourselves, and then we feel even less likely to go do that thing. So we've got this kind of spiral down happening, and we feel worse and worse and worse about ourselves. So the first sort of circuit breaker, as I call it, is self-compassion, is understanding that in any moment you are always just doing the best that you can with whatever thinking in that moment looks true, whatever level of consciousness you are, whatever relationship you've got with your thinking. All of that comes together, and then we just act based on a program that's running, and a program that we didn't write, that was written into us, I guess, as we grew up as children. And we can't separate ourselves from that, really. And then the second circuit breaker for me that I found to be extremely helpful, and this is what I did before I came to do this video, and that is just finding something that for you kind of grounds you back in the present moment. And I think we'll all find our own thing, but the thing I found to be most effective is just sitting in this sort of non-judgmental space with whatever's coming up emotionally. So that might be just almost naming the sensations without attachment and without judgment and without a sense they shouldn't be there. So, for me, overwhelm, I've often said it's just this real kind of tightness in the chest. So there's that heaviness in the chest. There might be, like a sort of uncomfortable feeling in the stomach, tightness in the shoulders, perhaps. All these things that we're just observing them. We're just observing them. And that I found to be the quickest way to get back into the present moment, moving forward with the action we really want to do. Because I think it helps us to see that those feelings that we're feeling are not really, well, first of all, they're all moving about without us needing to do anything, which is really cool to see. To see our psychological immune system, which I had heard about a lot. I'd had a lot of people say it, and I only really got it recently when I could just sit and go, yeah, there is this really heavy feeling in my chest. But if I just look at that, it's almost like the gremlins, once you start to look at it, it can't stay there. It just it just goes. Because your where your attention has changed. Your attention is no longer on the thinking, the scary thinking, and the inner critic about what you're about to do. Your thinking is just on your body then, and it's like, oh, yeah, there's some tightness there. Just take a breath, and then it seems that there's some more ability to move. So simple. And my goodness, so life-changing, really, to see this, to see the way we're made, that we can literally, completely transform before our own eyes, which is really cool. So I hope that's been helpful. Sort of the 3 things that might be getting in the way of us taking action, all pretty much the same thing, but different ways of articulating it. And then a couple of circuit breakers that might just help if you really want to move forward. And if you feel like you're not turning up authentically in the way that you really want to, then please don't hesitate to head over to my website and reach out and see how I can help. So take care. Thank you so much for listening in to this. Lots of love. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Surviving to Thriving. I hope this session has been helpful. If it resonated, I'd love for you to follow me and maybe share this episode with someone you care about. Until next time, be kind to yourself and trust your inner knowing.